everybody in Simple Kids Program Solutions group, where we discuss the topics that we feel are most helpful based off of what you guys are telling us that you need help with. My name is Charlie. I help kids program owners like you achieve $1 million or multi-million dollar run rates for their program over a year and help them with staff problems along the way. So if you feel like that's you, then you're in the right place. This is the group for you. And every week, Thursday at 11 Mountain Standard Time, we do lives just like this, where we talk about principles that are working right now in kids programs to help achieve the goals I mentioned earlier of that $1 million run rate. And right now we've spent a lot of time focused around staff. That's not exclusively what the group is focused on, but it seems to be a massive problem in the industry, and I think it's one that's really important to get fixed so that you can scale up the revenue within the business itself. So today we're going to be talking about a principle I like to call the carrot and the stick. All right. And this is essentially the idea of how do we motivate our staff, or how do we hold our staff accountable in a way that gets them excited, but also in a way that holds them to the expectations that we've laid out for them. Okay. So as I go through this, feel free to post comments or questions in the comment section, and I'll try to get to them. All right. So let's first lay this out here. Where is my mouse at? There we are. There we go. Okay, cool. So we have the carrot over here, and we have the stick. So what are those? If you're not familiar with the metaphor, it's in reference to getting either a donkey or a horse that's stubborn to move. And what are the two things? The carrot represents the positive motivator, in that we want to place a carrot in front of the horse or in front of the donkey in a way that gets them excited about achieving the goal we've established for them, which is moving forward. So the carrot is the positive reinforcement in the situation. The stick is the negative of, if you don't move, you get the stick to the butt, right? And so these are the two methodologies we know that work even in the human psychology of getting them motivated to achieve something. So our carrot is our positive reinforcement. Our stick is our negative reinforcement, okay, of do this and positive things happen. Don't do this and negative things happen. Okay, so when it comes to the carrot and the stick, all right, within this paradigm, you have staff that are going to respond more positively to the carrot, and you're going to have staff that are going to respond more positively to the stick. That's why they both exist, because some people are going to be motivated by the positive of, I want to achieve this. Some people are going to be motivated by the, I want to avoid this outcome, right? And that's why it's really important to be super particular and specific in the outcomes that you are creating for your people, or the outcomes that you're expecting from your people. I apologize. So what we want is, within our carrot, we want exact outcomes to be achieved as much as often, okay? And then positive reinforcements are going to be things like shout outs, okay? So a shout out is like, hey, such and such did an amazing job in their kids class today. Let's give them a round of applause, right? Or maybe you choose like the coach of the day or the coach of the week or whatever, some kind of like public affirmation of that coach in the group, which helps improve their status amongst their peers. Okay, so that's a positive. In terms of a negative, right, this would be a verbal warning. Okay, so this is kind of like, we'll kind of move up these in terms of it. We'll move up in terms of like how dramatic we get with these. Okay, so we have shout out being our first positive carrot. All right, we have our verbal warning being our negative stick. Okay, so verbal warnings are like somebody comes in late, whatever reason they come in late, okay? You still want to give them a verbal warning, because even though they may have a valid excuse, which they may very well have one, oftentimes they do, you still need to make it known that that's the expectation that they're being held to. And eventually, even if you have good excuses, if the standard's not being met, there's going to be a problem. Even a valid excuse still leaves the standard wanting. And you don't want to set that as a trend amongst your staff where you're cutting one person too much slack and everybody else not enough. Okay, so a verbal warning is a way of saying, hey, here's the expectation I have of you, and you are not achieving this expectation. Now, when you give verbal warnings, it's important that you give feedback, right? And what is feedback? It is not just you speaking your opinion. Feedback is, I'm gonna write this a little better. So feedback is you giving them precise instruction as to what exactly they need to do to achieve the standard that they violated. Okay, so if it's late, be like, hey, make sure you're here 5 minutes early to avoid this. That is a way to give verbal warnings that is constructive. Okay, so always when you do employ the stick, right, it's important that your staff feel like you're giving them feedback as to what they failed to accomplish, but you're also providing them the constructive roadmap of how do you achieve this standard and do it on a frequent basis. Okay, so it makes them feel like you're genuinely invested in them achieving the standard and them staying there and flourishing within the environment that you laid out. Okay, next up, performance reviews. So performance reviews, I always like to put in a carrot, because the reality is that most people think they're doing a good job. Okay, most people, right? A performance review, I feel like, gives people the opportunity to hear back the reality that they feel is true, and it's a one-on-one situation. Okay, and it is a great opportunity for you as a supervisor to say, hey, you know what, you've been crushing it, let's schedule a performance review. That if you set that as kind of the outline of it, that's an exciting opportunity to where maybe somebody else got the shout out, but you say, hey, you know, you're doing really good, we're going to note that in your upcoming performance review. Okay, so it's kind of a leverage towards this is going to work in your favor come time to review your position within the company. Okay, so performance review and shout out is a stick, okay, or excuse me, is the carrot. Now, in the same token, the performance review, we're going to actually not even put it there. We're going to say write up. Okay, so write up. All right, now write ups are going to be where you bring them in. You have documented the standard that they have violated. And bear in mind, you always want to give a verbal warning of the standard that they're violating before you do a write-up. Because it is a true thing that people just genuinely don't know about the standard sometimes, or they didn't realize it was this, or whatever excuse they may have. You as a leader want to remove that excuse by saying, hey, we have verbally spoken to you and warned you about this particular thing before. All right, so it's important that you have some context that you're writing them up with of you have been spoken with before, given this information before. So it's really important that you lay that out there. Okay, so the write-up is more of it is something that could be in conjunction with a performance review, but it is going to be something that is isolated from a performance review more often than not. Okay, so write-ups also are coming in with feedback. Okay, always, when you are using the stick to talk to your people, you want to be very, very clear that the feedback loop is going to be a part of that process. If I'm telling you the standard that you're falling short of and now you're being held accountable to, I'm going to tell you what you can be doing to achieve that goal, right? Because I, as a leader, want to ask the question of like, what do I need to do for you as a subordinate to help you achieve the expectation and standard that I've laid out for you, okay? So this is why we want to constantly tie feedback into the stick process. The carrot is just kind of like, again, it's an affirmation that, hey, you're doing the right thing, you're doing the good things. That is fantastic. Okay, so another carrot here is going to be, we'll say, I don't want to call it a date, but time together. And what that is like, time together is like a one-on-one where you take them out for lunch and you talk about the future with them, right? The future, the vision you have with them in the company, okay? So this is like the opportunity for them to kind of see you outside of the work environment. And that's really exciting for an employee to be like, yo, boss took me to such and such lunch today. They bought me lunch, talked about the future plans they had for me. It's another carrot thing you can do. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but it does cost time. And that means a lot to the employee that you take the time to meet up with them, to take them to lunch, to buy them food, ask them how their life is going, okay? So we'll call it one-on-one time, talk time, whatever. Just take that time to really sit down with them one-on-one in an informal setting, okay? So this is a performance review is absolutely formal. Your one-on-one time is going to be informal, okay? So this is kind of like two of the same things here. You need to be doing these regardless. But when it comes to the talk time or the one-on-one time, that I think you don't have to do, but I do think it's extremely valuable and a powerful carrot, especially for people who care about the one-on-one time for you, okay? And then with the stick, all right, we don't want to do these isolated incidents. We want to continue to escalate with our sticks, okay? So with a stick, we want verbal warning, write up, okay? And then next up comes a position review. Not a performance review, a position review. I like to change it because they are technically the same thing, but I want to call it a position review because I want them to know we're reviewing their position within the company. Okay, so this right here, again, is connected to feedback. And the reason we call it a position review is this could result in another write-up, okay? So it could result in another write-up, or it could result in termination, all right? And that is the final piece on the stick chart of verbal warning, write-up, position review, performance review, again, position review. Again, I want that to be in their mind that the position they're in is being reviewed, not just their performance in it, because they know that sucks. So now it's a matter of, do you keep the position in the company that you have, okay? So that's when we go from write-up to termination, or through the position review to termination. Okay, so with our stick, we have feedback, 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 but by the time we get to termination, there's no more feedback. This is just, we've tried, it's not working, this is the end of the company, or this is the end of your tenure within the company. What's incredibly important is that you're documenting this whole process, okay? Document, all right? Why? Because if this comes back to bite you on the butt later down the road, where the employee says you weren't this, you weren't that, you failed them as a company, etc., you have documented all the things that went wrong and the things that went right within the company, so that you can have a very clear picture you can paint for someone who wasn't a part of the company to see what that person's lifetime within the company was like, okay? So this is where you have those performance reviews, those write-up sheets, the verbal warnings, these type of things you want to document. Even if you do a verbal warning, like I still recommend send an email to yourself saying, hey, I had to give, such and such a verbal warning today. These documentations, when printed out and put into a file or just stored anywhere, are extremely beneficial to you should something ever happen. It goes to court over like wrongful termination or something like that. This documentation is going to be massive for the court system and for other people to see that you as an owner covered your bases, provided this person the information they needed. You provided clear opportunity to get these the shout outs and the performance reviews with pay bumps, right? That's one we're going to put in here. We don't need a ton of explanation on that. It's going to be a pay bump, right? That just speaks volumes to people like, hey, we're going to raise your pay because you've crushed it, okay? Either way, we want to have all of this stuff documented so that others can see that we are being fair in the evaluation that we're giving, okay? So the carrot is to reward those who are in your business doing great things. The stick is to punish those who are in your business and not achieving what you want them to achieve to begin with. Okay, so the carrot and the stick. And there's many, many different things you guys could put into these two pillars, all right? But this is a great way to motivate your staff, right? And make it clear, this is how this works, this is how this works, here's the carrot, here's the stick, here's the positives, here's the negatives, right? Lay these things out so your staff know what that roadmap looks like for them, okay? Now, as usual, if you guys need help, if you need help within your program, you want to scale up your revenue, you want to fix your staff problems, okay, schedule a call with us below. Ali will place a comment in the comment sections. Get on there, grab a time with us. Strategy calls, totally free to you guys, where we kind of just talk about your situation, your business, and what we could be doing for you guys. Now, that being said, I'm neck deep in writing this book for you guys, 90 Days to Staff Heaven. I'm working on a couple different names for it right now, but that's just kind of my working title. And I'm really, really excited for you guys because I think we're going to be able to have it ready to go maybe sometime by next week. Okay, so I'm just super deep into that, getting that done. So I think it's going to be a massive benefit to you guys because personally, reading through it has been a lot of fun. Writing it has been a lot of fun for you guys because it's such an interesting topic for me. So I think it's going to be a huge boon for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. I think you guys are going to love it. And as usual, place in the comment section below if you guys have any questions for future lives or anything like that. But as usual, we're going to run these back every Thursday. Schedule your call with us if you need help or if you want to just see what we can do for you, because we specialize in helping kids programs ramp up their revenue, fix their teams, and ultimately improve the quality of life overall. So if that sounds like you, then schedule your call and find out how we're going to do that for you. All right, so we'll see you guys next week. This is Charlie signing off.